Arg, mateys, and welcome to the Admiral Beckett ghost ship. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, this is yucky. Let's go one more mulligan. And, yes, we will make this work. We have Jitte, Crumbling, Marshfly. Yeah, we can keep on this one. Hopefully run into a third land, and we're playing against Urza, Lord High Artificer. Man, I have, it has been a struggle here on the ghost ship today. Me and Admiral Beckett have a very, very hard time of steering this ship into any sort of direction. So let's go ahead and keep on this one. We got to put one on the bottom just so we have some sort of option to start swinging in. I think, well, kind of like holding on to disallow. Actually, I might just end up putting Vanillion Click on the bottom. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. And we're going to lead off with Crumbling Necropolis, so that will come in and play tapped, and then anything else we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. So we're playing Admiral Beckett Brass, the official captain of the ghost ship. Other pirates you control get +1/+1. Then at the beginning of your end step, gain control of target non-land permanent controlled by a player who was dealt combat damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. Playing against Urza, Lord High Artificer. Enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 construct token with this creature's equal, or gets +1/+1 for each artifact that you control. Ooh. Okay, so we run into Soul Ring. Let's go Marsh Flats. We crack Marsh Flats and go for Demonic Tutor. I think that'll be pretty good. All right, so let's go to crack Marsh Flats, and let's get this popped out. And we definitely want to grab a black-blue sword. So let's go and grab Underground Sea. Let's go for Soul Ring. We'll have a Demonic Tutor, or, oh, they've... we're running into... Okay, we're going to have Soul Ring enter the battlefield, and I guess... Yeah, if they've got a counter... Actually, let's do this. So let's go for Jitte. If they've got a counter spell and they want to use Jitte to counter that, that's fine. Okay, we get Jitte to enter the battlefield. Kick it back over there. Could have gone for Demonic Tutor, but our opponent tapped down 1 blue mana, and so I just didn't want to run into like a Spell Pierce or something. So hopefully he's trying to get that out of their hand, but we will see. Playing against Urza, gets that construct token on the battlefield, then tap an untapped artifact you control, add blue mana to your mana pool. Then for a 5 mana activation, shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. And so we might... That's going to be Flooded Strand, and that's actually a pretty good rip. So at this point, we are looking at Toxic Deluge for like 4. I think we might end up doing that. So let's go and crack Flooded Strand. Let's go and grab ourselves a red sword. Let's get this popped out, grab that Volcanic Island, and let's go 1/2 for the Soul Ring. We'll still tap down a little bit of extra mana, and we'll actually, let's make that 1 Underground Sea make black. And we'll have this one make red. That way, just in case we want to go for Admiral Beckett. So let's go for Frantic Search. That's going to allow us to draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. Let's go and get rid of Arid Mesa. And at this point, since we do have Soul Ring, I actually kind of like holding on to this. So we'll get rid of those 2, untap these 3 lands. There we go. Untap those. We still have a little bit of extra. Let's go for Demonic Tutor. And we're going to grab that Toxic Deluge simply because we just want to hit the reset button on what our opponent's got going on right now. And check out the pirate version of Demonic Tutor. Felt pretty good about getting this into the deck. So opponent's going to go for Swan Song. I still think we end up going Disallow on this because we want to get rid of that board. Worst case scenario, we just want to get that commander tax going. So let's go for Disallow. The only downside is we don't get to go for Toxic Deluge right now, but at least this is going to give us an option to kind of stop that. So let's get this popped out. Let's grab ourselves Toxic Deluge. It's going to go into our hand. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you're having a midlife crisis, you want to join a pirate ship, hey, head on over there. They've got a lot of pirates for you to choose from. Or so you have some scurvy. They've got some vitamin C over there, so be sure to hit up MTGOTraders. So if you want to check out my merch booth, I do have a merch booth set up over at inkgaming.com. You can go to their website, search Jolt539 to see my merch booth, or you can simply just use Jolt as a coupon code to get 10% off anything off the website. So treat yourself, get yourself a nice little playmat. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits. There you go. And if you can't do that, hey, no problem. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. So we do have all 3 colored sources for Admiral Beckett. So let's try to stick a Toxic Deluge. Yeah, let's give that a shot. That's going to be 1/2 off of Soul Ring, and we're going to have to pay for 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Click OK. They might have another counter spell. They do have 3 cards in the hand, so we're going to hopefully keep our fingers crossed that this does stick. What we're trying to do is basically just kind of get the commander tax going up on something. And with the way they're tapping, let's see what's going to end up happening. But yeah, as far as Admiral Beckett, man, it has been a very, very brutal recording session with Admiral Beckett. So the way these commanders, I'm working through some of my older commander decks, and I'm rebuilding them. But earlier, like I ran into 2 clunky games where we couldn't get any lands going, and then previously before this game, I had like a really good video. You know, I wasn't gonna win, but it was a really good showing of what the deck's about, what's gonna happen, and then just for some reason, my computer just like snap restarted. It like the turn our opponent was about to swing into attack, and typically you can use that video, but with the way OBS is, that video got corrupted. And so I had like a 15-minute gameplay video where I was just like, okay. Well, that's been a very interesting thing. So when I said Admiral Beckett and I have been trouble piloting the ship today, that has been why. We've had a little bit of rough go at it. But the core concept of this Admiral Beckett deck is that what we're trying to do is we're trying to get down a lot of unblockable creatures, little 1-drop creatures, 2-drop creatures, things that aren't necessarily pirates. Because what we're trying to do is just generate a ton of value with equipment, whether it's Jitte, whether that's Sword of Feast and Famine, Sword of Blank and Blank, whatever that may be. The opponent having that unwinding clock, that is, that is pretty rough. So we run into Arcane Adaptation. Okay, that's actually a pretty good thing. So let's go for Admiral Beckett right now. That's going to be 1-2. It's going to be blue, black, and then red. And we're still going to go ahead and equip Jitte onto Admiral Beckett. Now, they've got a counterspell. They've got it. If not, we're at least going to try to go for Admiral Beckett. Okay, and the seat was the reveal off of that. Exiled cards, or the revealed was Paradox Engine. I don't know where that came in. But we're going to have Admiral Beckett enter the battlefield. Let's go for Urza's Jitte onto Beckett. And either way, we're going to have to take some damage on this. So there we go. So get the Jitte onto Beckett, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. Yeah, that was a pretty good video last time, but unfortunately, man, it's just kind of like... like it was like I was doing my little closing statements about how our opponent had a good deck showing. And yeah, then I don't know. The computer just restarted and I lost the video. It's a little bit of a bummer. And so if you end up seeing this video, kind of got a hodge, because I've gotten also to the point now to where I want to work on some of these older commanders. And there's just sometimes, for some reason, some of these decks like Admiral Beckett, it is fun building this kind of unblockable equipment style deck, but it's not the best deck out there. And so if you see this collection of videos and there's not a whole lot of Admiral stuff out there, I do apologize. Not a lot of action on our side of the battlefield. That's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. I've gotten to the point now where if I spend about an hour trying to record a commander deck, I need to release something. So that's kind of the main thing that I'm looking at. Now, our opponent did get down Paradox Engine. This is banned in Commander, but I'm playing 1 versus 1 Commander. It is not banned in 1 versus 1 Commander. The reason for that, I don't know. I wish I could give you a better answer. To be honest, I think Wizards... there was a 1 versus 1 leader, and I don't know where they're at now. And I think we're kind of on our own. So 1 versus, if you want to play Paradox Engine, hey, come on to 1 versus 1 Commander. But yeah, that is definitely banned. So at this point, we can't even swing into that construct token. So, and they've got Soul Ring. They've got a lot of mana they can generate. We go Arcane Adaptation. Naming Pirate, but I still don't think that's going to be good for us. So yeah, let's have Arcane enter the battlefield. We're going to choose Pirate, click OK, and yeah, we'll go and pass turn. So I think they can combo off a Paradox Engine, but we'll wait from there. But yeah, you'll see me explain in the other videos, what we're trying to do in this deck. You did see Rogue Gloves in our graveyard from that Codex Shredder. Basically, we're just trying to get some of these 1-drops. We have Dive Down, we have Lurker, we have Slitherblade, Triton Shorestalker. A lot of these 1-drops are unblockable, and then once we get down something like Arcane, that will turn them into Pirates. So this deck is basically kind of like a, Admiral Beckett is a support commander right at the end. Once we get everything established, we have an unblockable creature, we have the equipment that we can swing in and deal some damage, get those triggers going, and then we can use the Admiral Beckett as kind of like a win more style effect. It's very much in that, like, kind of the same way you approach a Lord Windgrace deck, in that Lord Windgrace is a very powerful commander, but you need to have everything set up for them to really kind of take advantage of that. And so that's what we're doing with Admiral Beckett. Once the conditions are right, once her crew has done a lot of damage on the battlefield, then she plops down and says, hey, what's happening? So now with their opponent having Urza, they have a lot of mana they can untap with. They can basically kind of cycle through their library. I'm going to speed their turn up just to kind of see what they're going for. If they can demonstrate some sort of loop, I'll jump in there, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so they got Paradox Engine. They have Rings Down. Whenever you activate a mana ability, and they can copy those triggers. So that's going to be a lot of paradox triggers. Let's get this reveal zone popped up. They're going to have rings into the battlefield. Yeah, let's let them kind of cycle through this and we'll see what they're doing. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and scoop this one up. Long story short, I'm sure our opponent has some sort of win condition. At the very least, we're looking at Codex Shredder milling us out because we don't have a shuffle effect in here. And so them being able to cast all their spells, making us, whether they have 70 spells or not, but they also get to the point where they can go for the rings activations and make us mill. And at this point, they basically just achieved infinite mana. So they're going to be able to get a lot of stuff down here, really kind of wreck our board. Unfortunately, like I mentioned with this Admiral Beckett, I was hoping to get a little bit better showing, but once you kind of get to the hour point of recording with the commander, you've got to kind of release what we came up with. So hopefully we'll be able to hit Admiral Beckett sometime in the near future to get a little bit of better showing of what happened. But yeah, if you enjoyed your time on the Ghost Ship, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Arg, mateys, and welcome to the Admiral Beckett Brass Ghost Ship. As far as opening hand goes, we've got, oh man, pirate voice. Yeah, this is a pretty clunky hand, so we're gonna go mulligan on this one, and hopefully, ooh, yeah, let's go one more go on this one. For some reason, okay, yeah, we're gonna keep on this. See what we're gonna put on the bottom. I think at this point, we'll definitely put Xenograft on the bottom. And we need to put one more card. I want to hold on to these lands like really bad. And I do like True Name Nemesis. So let's go and put Cyclonic Rift on the bottom. We've got Mystical Tutor, so we'll click OK on that one. So that, well, if we do need to find Cyclonic Rift, we can at least find it with Tutor. If not, I at least want to have 3 lands that we can get down Admiral Beckett and then go for True Name Nemesis. So put us off to a really nice start with that Soul Ring. And let's see what we draw into next turn. Then we'll jump into this game. But yes, welcome to the Ghost Ship. Ooh. All right, so we got Soul Ring and Mana Crypt, and then let's see, is this going to be Thread Dynamo? Dark Steel, okay. All right, so we've got a pretty quick, we got Lightning Greaves, all right. Hey, welcome to Commanders, like playing against Affinity. So, but, when you've got those hands, sometimes it just, it feels good just to dump that stuff out. So let's, I do it all the time, I love it. So we're looking at, very thankfully, they can't go for Aurelia just yet, so... I think at this point, let's go for Marsh Flats. We'll have that enter the battlefield and then just pass turn our opponent. So we're playing against Admiral Beckett Brass. We are playing Admiral Beckett Brass. The other pirates you control get +1/+1. Then at the beginning of your end step, gain control of target non-land permanent controlled by a player who is dealt damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. Playing against Aurelia, the War Leader. So hey, shout out to PJ. If you like Aurelia, or you like Boros, highly recommend you go check out PJ's channel, Commander Replay. He is a Boros maniac, or Boros Battalion Maniac, whatever the correct terminology would be. So it's going to crack Marsh Flats. We're going to see Avacyn enter the battlefield, Flash Flying Vigilance. And I think we're going to grab... Could go for Mystical Tutor if we want to grab something, but I think at this point... We could go for Angrass Rampage. I think that might be a pretty good deal. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to grab Underground Seed. Let's go for Mystical Tutor, because getting like a 4 o'clock in the air, not super wild about that. So... that'll definitely kind of chew into our life total. So we're going to go Mystical Tutor. Let's get this popped out. Let's grab ourselves Angrass Rampage. That way, if they do have some sort of protection spell, whatever that may be, at least sacrificing is going to make them get rid of Avacyn. And then we'll hopefully, they've only down to 1 card in the hand, so hopefully they don't run into another red source, so we can hold back Aurelia from swinging in, because that will end up being Lightning Greaves coming down. Okay, so we got Snickers Avacyn swinging in for 4. It's going to put us down to 29. Let's just straight up just go Volcanic Island and then go for Angrass Rampage. Target player sacrifices a creature. We're going to choose our opponent. It's going to be black and red. There we go. Angrass is going to whip that whip around and unfortunately catch Avacyn as she's flying by on the way to work. And but yeah, so we did cover, I think, actually I started talking about it and then they got Avacyn down. So playing against Aurelia, and if I already did cover it, hey, sorry about that. What is going on? There we go. Click OK. I have hotkeys set up, and sometimes if the hotkeys don't work, it throws me off because I'm moving on to the next thing I'm going to talk about. So we're playing against Aurelia, the War Leader, Flying Vigilance, and Haste. Whenever it attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. Let's say you've got some scurvy and you need some pirates and vitamin C in your life. Head over to MTGOTraders. I've got all the pirate supplies that you may need. And also shout out to inkgaming.com if you want to check out my merch booth. I do have a merch booth set up over there. Search Jolt539 on the website to see my stuff. Or actually just use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off anything on the website. So there you go. Get something, treat yourself. It's always nice to get a new playmat. And let's go for Misty. And I guess at this point, we just end up going for Wharf Infiltrator. That way we can get the Skulk. Yeah, I think I kind of like getting some of that card. We could go True Name Nemesis, but at this point, we just want to get some sort of card advantage going. Once we have Jace down, that'll really allow us to kind of get some pretty good stuff going. So I think we'll do that. So at least, fingers crossed, ideally, we run into Mana Crypt or Agent 2 next turn. We go for Jace and have the Brainstorm with Misty. That would be nice. But at this point, we're just looking for that 4th land drop. That way we can start going for Brainstorm. And then we'll just keep our fingers crossed they don't hit the... hit a red source for Aurelia. But yeah, we need to give shout out to MTGOTraders in gaming. Oh, last but not least, I started a Patreon. So, or sacrifice creatures. So let's go ahead and crack Misty in response to that, because that would, yeah, can't pay life or sacrifice creature. Yeah, that would not be too good. And at this point, this is a primarily black-blue deck, so I think we're just going to grab Sunken Hollow. We'll have that come into play tap. But yeah, started Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute, get your name at the beginning or the ending credits. Hey, there's a link down in the description below. If you can't do that, no worries. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. So there we go. Now it's officially free time. We can have some fun. Now with this Admiral Beckett deck, this is something that I built a long time ago, and I'm trying to work back through some of my catalog of old decks and different things like that, and just kind of update them. I found that you know, the production schedule. Not schedule, but the production process of making commander videos is that, you know, I'm building a new commander every single set or seeing what's coming out. Or we got Mother of Runes coming in the red zone. I like it. All right, so it's going to be 5 coming across. We'll go and let that go on through. And do we run into Temple of Malice? Okay, that is a land. So let's go ahead and push in. Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, let's go and swing in the Wharf Infiltrator, because maybe we get an untapped land. So we're going to go and swing in for 1. That's going to put them down to 26. And then, ooh, there we go, run into Sulphur Falls. So we're going to get rid of Temple of Malice. That way we can get down Sulphur Falls, and we basically just want to generate some sort of value. You know, unfortunately with Brainstorm or Jace, it's going to make it really easy for Angel to swing across. But at this point, we just want to dig just a little bit deeper into our library. So that's what we're going to be trying to do right now. So we're going to have Jace enter the battlefield. We could Fate Seal, but they're going to have combat damage, so we might as well just go for the 0 ability. Put 2 cards back on top. And none of these allow us to shuffle, unfortunately. So let's put Conspiracy back on top. And we'll go and put True Name Nemesis back on top of our library. So anything else, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. So as far as this deck, oh yeah, the production process of commander decks. So I have a lot of old decks. You know, I have in the neighborhood of 100-something decks, the very bare minimum. And so a lot of these older decks that I build, you know, some of them I just kind of build it for a new set release, and I don't really like it that much, and you don't really see it too much often after that. You know, like Kaikar, I love Kaikar. It's a lot of fun. Kaikar is definitely going to earn a spot in the top rotation, but you know, some of the other decks, you know, I maybe just build them once, and that's kind of it. So I'm trying to get better about having a better build of some of my older decks, because one of the problems that I ran into, and we're going to draw into Conspiracy. Yeah, let's go and draw into that Conspiracy, because you know, that is nice, but that's in a position where you've gotten a lot of the sword pieces down. So yes, definitely want to use that ability. Let's go and discard Conspiracy. It's going to swing in for 1, knock them down to 22. And let's go Talisman of Creativity. And I think we just hold on to Delay, because if we can catch Aurelia with the delay, I think that'll be pretty good. So, but yeah, long story short, a lot of the older decks that I would build, you know, I'd get frustrated when I try to record them because they wouldn't perform that well. And so, you know, if something, it takes me 3 or 4 videos to get a good video, you know, that's eating up a lot of my time to play Commander. So, you know, I'm trying to basically go back through some of my older stuff. That's going to be Balefire Liege. 2-4. Yeah, that's, I think that's going to be a pretty good delay, to be honest. Yeah, we need to get that going. So we're going to go for delay on Balefire. That's going to suspend it for 3. At least gives us some sort of way to kind of stop that extra effect. And if they're swinging in for 5, it's, you know, it's not great, but it's not the end of the world. So I feel like it's a pretty good delay option, because if we end up delaying Aurelia, it's going to go back to the command zone. So at least just going to buy us a couple more turns. So that's going to knock us down to 12. And let's see what we've run into. Run into Mana Crypt. Okay, so let's go. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to be just enough for True Name and Admiral Beckett. So might as well just go and go for it. So we could try to swing in with Infiltrator. I like building up this board state. So we're going to get down Mana Crypt. Let's go 1, 2. All right, so I have Admiral Beckett enter the battlefield. Let's go for True Name Nemesis. It's going to be double blue and that last colorless floating. And we're going to choose our player. Yeah, choose our opponent. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. We could, yeah, let's go and swing in with Infiltrator. We're not going to go for the card draw because we'll have to get rid of it. So let's go and push in, put them down to 21, and they'll pass turn. No, not going to use that ability and kick it back over there. But yeah, long story short, you know, if there's some older decks that you enjoyed, kind of working my way back through them and just kind of rebuilding them. You know, if you think about it, you know, you as a Magic player, if you compare how you used to build decks 2 years ago versus how you do it now, it's vastly different. And a lot of these decks are, you know, I don't have the time to, you know, baby every single deck, every set releases because, you know, looking at 100 commander decks. And so, long story short, you know, there's some times where I go to record a commander and I'm like, man, why is this land in here? Or why is this in here? Why do I not have this in here? So I'm going to be slowly trying to incorporate some of these older decks. And I was just kind of browsing through my catalog, and Admiral Beckett was, hey, I enjoyed playing that deck and glad to kind of get it updated. Now, the core concept of this deck, if you haven't seen this deck before, this is basically, it's not necessarily... Okay, so that's not too bad. Austere Command, Destroy, because we've got most of our mana rocks. That's going to keep them, that's going to get rid of creatures 3 or less. So they got rid of True Name Nemesis and Infiltrator. So we're going to swing for 3. So we've got ourselves kind of this weird game right now. We need to hopefully deal with Angel somehow. If we can get another sacrifice element, that would certainly help. And, ooh, they went for Vandal Blast on Talisman. It's not the end of the world. So let's go and choose Tails on this mana crypt trigger and pray to the pirate gods that, oh, lost a flip. Okay, it's going to put us down to 5. And then we run into Soul Ring, which is not good. Okay, so let's go ahead and swing in for 3. That's going to knock them down to 18. Yeah, just in case we run into something, a little bit of card draw, let's have Soul Ring come down. And then we'll pass a turn. So we are looking at Angel swinging across for 3. That's going to get rid of us. And then let's check out the suspend option. So it's still going to have one more time counter. And we'll see what we can do. But yeah, long story short, the core concept of this deck is we're not running a lot of pirates in here. We're trying to build basically kind of this unblockable deck to where we have a lot of these 1-drops and 2-drops that can't be blocked. Get down to Sword of Fire and Ice on there, Sword of Feast and Famine, start swinging across and generating some really nice value. So, but unfortunately, we're just kind of, you know, there's just some times where you just kind of run into bad luck. Our opponent's going to go for Kimba, and that is going to be it. So good game to our opponent. Unfortunately, they got off to a very quick start. That put a pretty hard clock on us, but anyway, we're hop back on the Ghost Ship. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Arg, mateys, and welcome to Admiral Beckett Brass Ghost Ship. Hope you're excited. As far as our opening hand goes, we've got Demonic Tutor, but I'm not super wild about this opening hand, so let's go and mulligan on this. Yes, this is a lot better. We at least have 2 colored sources, Talisman. We have an unblockable creature, a little bit of spot removal, and we've got double Ghost Pirate thing. So let's go ahead and keep on this one. I'm probably going to put... probably just put Xenograph on the bottom because Conspiracy basically does the same thing. So, well, actually, let's click cancel. Let's put Conspiracy on the bottom because Xenograph, that's just going to be 1 blue mana. So there we go. Click OK on that. And we are on the play. So let's go and lead off with a Command Tower. Let's go for Triton Shore Stalker. That's going to be 1 blue mana. And anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, welcome to the Admiral Beckett Ghost Ship. Hope you're excited. It's been a very long time since we've done Admiral Beckett. So let's go and cover the commanders really quick. We're playing Admiral Beckett Brass. Other pirates you control get +1/+1. Then at the beginning of your end step, gain control of target non-land permanent controlled by a player who has dealt combat damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. But it's going to lead off with a plant token. And ooh, run into Remand. So let's do this. So let's go ahead and we'll go and push in for 1. Got the Shore Stalker jumping off the ship to go investigate this plant token on the shore. So we're going to swing in for 1, knock him down to 29, and we can go for Talisman of Indulgence. Yeah, and I think we're going to do. I was thinking that we could shock in Blood Crypt and leave up Remand, but I really like getting down Talisman because that puts us on a turn 4 Admiral Beckett. And yeah, I kind of like that. So let's go and shock in Blood Crypt. We're going to pay 2 life. Let's go for Talisman. Yeah, I think it would be one thing if they actually had, you know, if we were worried about Cultivate or something like that. So... anything else, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. Playing against Meren of Clan Nailtoth. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. Then, at the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's converted mana cost is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. So, let's see if we hit the... Oh, well, let's say we need a lane drop, but it's a little bit better than a lane drop. So, let's go and lead off with the Soul Ring. And that'll put us on Xenograph, that'll put us on Beckett for next turn, and I definitely do like that. So let's go and push in again with Triton Shorestalker. If you're keeping score at home, and you queued up the Triton Shorestalker 29 turn game clock, hey, this is the game for you. So we're going to swing in for one more, put them down to 28, and then we're going to go and pass the turn. So we're actually in a pretty good spot. We have a Brain online if our opponent goes for some sort of mana rock. We've got Remand if they go for some sort of spell. So we'll definitely kind of keep ourselves open as far as whatever they want to do on their turn. But let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Let's say you got some scurvy. Head over to MTGOTraders. I've got all the vitamin C that you may. Yeah, we'll definitely go for Remand on that. That's going to be blue. I'll add that to colorless. Yeah, because we just want to slow them down just a little bit. And that's a good way for us to get a card draw and hopefully find that third land. Arcane Denial. Okay, well, that'll stop Wood Elves. We'll lose that last mana. But yeah, if you got some scurvy, head over to MTGOTraders. They've got a ton of pirates. Or maybe if you want to ride on Admiral Beckett's ghost ship, head on over there. Have some fun. Pretty much play whatever commander you want or any sort of magic you may want. Okay, so we know what else is in our opponent's hand. Let's go and swing again with Trident Shores. I'm telling you, we've got that clock established. All we just need to find ourselves one of our pieces of equipment. This will be a lot better. So we're gonna go and swing in for one, put them down to 27, and we could go for Xenograph, but we are looking at Admiral Beckett coming down. We are looking at Wood Elves. I'd like to catch Arcane Denial and Meren potentially, because it is sitting at a 3/4. Yeah. Because we don't necessarily need to get down Admiral Beckett. So let's do that. Let's just go and pass the turn. If we can catch that Wood Elves again with Arcane Denial, that allows us to cash in an extra card draw. And hopefully that'll allow us to get a few extra things. Because once we get down Tormented Soul and Triton Shorestalker, and we end up going for a Beckett, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and let that through. Yeah, let's go and let that go through. Because if anything, we may want to save Arcane Denial for the... and actually, we should have gotten done Tormented Soul that turn, because we still would have kept us on a Braid and Arcane Denial, so sorry about that. We'll get it down next turn and probably still keep up the same line of play, so... And all right, so we run into Dive Down. So, yeah, let's go for Tormented Soul. That's going to be 1 black mana. Let's go and push in for 1 again. And this deck, if you haven't seen this deck before, this is not a traditional Admiral Beckett deck. This is not full of pirates and stuff like that. One of the things that we're trying to do in this deck, pretty much, it's kind of game plan A, if you want to call it that, is just have a lot of unblockable creatures and then swing in. Hopefully we can find something like Sword of Feast and Famine, Sword of Fire and Ice, Sword of Light and Shadow. Once we get that down onto Triton Shorestalker and start swinging across, then you can see how potent it can be to really kind of start swinging, getting those triggers going. And then if you get lucky and find something like Xenograph, you get that down, then we can have Admiral end up being a pretty good option. So our opponent's going to go for Bone Shredder. Yeah, and I think I kind of like going for Arcane Denial on this. Yeah, let's do that. So it's going to be 1 blue mana, because we need to hit that third land. We can go for Xenograph next turn, but it's not really going to do much unless we have 3 pirates on the battlefield, or once 3 pirates attack. So whenever it dies, create a 2/1 black creature token. Okay, so we can definitely kind of play around that. We do have open a Braid right now, but we really don't need it that bad. So we'll go and let that colorless mana go through, and we'll see if they'll... Yep, they're going to swing in Wood Elves for 1. Put us down to 27, and then we'll see what we draw into. But that's the other good thing about this deck is, there's a lot of cool pirates out there, but sometimes they're not... you go full pirate tribal, it's not as good as what you're expecting sometimes. So, at least with this way, we have that game plan of swinging in with unblockable creatures, and that's a good... All right, River Sneak, excuse me. So we end up hitting the land. Unfortunately, it's a tap land, so we'll go and play that. And I think at this point, we'll finally end up going for Beckett Brass, so that'll be good. So it's going to be blue. We'll have Admiral enter the battlefield. Unfortunately, we are kind of open to a board wipe, but hopefully that doesn't happen. We can still go ahead and keep that clock up. If it's going to be Wood Elves versus Shorestalkers and Tormented Souls, then we can definitely survive this one. So it's going to attack with all creatures. That's going to be 2 coming across, puts them down to 24. But yeah, this is pretty much kind of just like almost like a... I hesitate to say Grixis Spellslinger deck, but it's very much that same concept where you're getting down, a 1-drop creature and they're just trying to generate as much value as possible. There's a lot of times where if you just have that repeated Sword of Fire and Ice trigger coming across turn after turn, it is pretty brutal. So I guess at this point, let's go ahead and sacrifice Tormented Soul, because Shorestalker can still at least block. And, things aren't looking too good for us. Opponent does have Guy's Cradle down. They do have Maze of Ith. And so one of the things that we do have in this deck is we do have some land removal. So if we can find either Wasteland or Field of... Field of Ruin, and then we can blast that Maze of Ith. But you know, as far as this deck being like super overpowered, it's not that overpowered. It's just kind of it's fun to be running some, you know, little random. You know, it's just nice to have Tormented Soul go down and get down 2 or 3 pieces of equipment, start swinging across. And then if you can get Admiral Beckett's, you know, once you make them all pirates and you gain control of stuff, I know that's a pretty good feeling. Now, opponent's going to go for Nissa. That's going to put them down to 6 total loyalty. So we really want to stop that that draw card whenever. Ooh, there we go. Hero's Downfall. So we've got, and I guess at this point, if we're going to end up using Hero's Downfall on Nissa, I think that might be a pretty good option. Because, well, yeah, because we just don't want that sticking around, especially if they can untap Guy's Cradle. So we're going to go and go for Nissa right now. That's going to be double black. That's going to take care of Nissa. We're still going to go ahead and push in with Triton Shorestalker. Because we'd rather just get the damage done at this point. You know, it's not going to help much holding back a 1-1 unblockable back on defense. So we're going to go and swing across the... Okay, that will force the Maze of Ith activation. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. So we are open on a Braid. We are open on Dive Down. So we definitely want to keep those open. We are playing against Golgari, so we do have to watch out for some spot removal. So, but yeah, outside of that, you know, it's kind of one of those commander decks that you build that it's not necessarily the win percentage, but it's just, hey, can we get a lot of value going? Can we get a lot of these sword triggers going, and then can we have Admiral Beckett come down and make them all pirates and then start stealing stuff? So, pretty cool. Opponent's going to end up going for Meren of Clan Nailtop. Now, with Zendikar Resurgent, they've got double mana, so at this point, let's just go and let them kind of speed through this turn, and we'll see what we can do about it. And oh no, so opponent's going to end up going for Karn on Admiral Beckett, but we actually have Dive Down, so that's going to work out perfect. So we're going to go, in response to that, we're going to go for Dive Down. We're going to have Admiral Beckett jump off the ghost ship and dive into the water. I don't know how capable of a swimmer she is with all that. Seems like she's got a lot of gear on, but hey, apparently she can dive down into the water. So that's one way that we can kind of dodge this Karn blast. And then they're going to go for Damnation. Okay, so that's going to clear the entire board out. It's going to get a lot of experience counters for our opponent. This game's not over, but with Karn sticking around on the battlefield, that is it is not too good. So Mystical Tutor, and then unfortunately a Braid is going to be destroy 3 damage to a creature, which is not going to be a Planeswalker. So I guess at this point we're just going to go for River Sneak, I think. Yeah, let's do that. So it's going to be 1-2. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. Now, unfortunately, we're not running light on lands in this deck. We're just not really hitting any sort of land drop or any sort of card draw. I did end up tweaking this deck, or at least kind of updating it from the last time that I did it. So we added, you know, Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordain. We've got a light Impulse. We have a lot of different options, Frantic Search. We have different ways that we can generate some sort of card advantage to hopefully kind of find some of these lands. So thus being stuck on 3 lands, it's definitely an anomaly. You know, it's typically not how this deck operates, but we're going to try our best and see if we can't beat Karn. So they end up going for Animate Dead on Fleshbag. That's going to sacrifice River Sneak. I don't know why, it just makes me laugh. Somebody, I saw it on Reddit one time. Somebody drew a like the hand drew River Sneak, like sneaking out of the water with like a little knife or whatever, and it's just, I don't know, it just made me laugh. All right, so we're gonna have to exile a card out of our hand. I think at this point, man, we are really, really far away from Xenograft. We can Mystical, yeah, we'll go and exile that. What we can do is we can actually Mystical Tutor for Dreadbore, which Dreadbore is in here. So while that's happening, so let's go ahead and go Mystical Tutor. Once again, this is not the most exciting line of play that we can go for. We can either go for Angrass Rampage or just straight up just Dreadbore. And I think at this point we'll just go for, we'll just grab Angrass Rampage. That way there's no sort of, we can just target a Planeswalker. I doubt they're going to have some sort of protection spell, but at least with an Angrass Rampage, it's going to force them to at least get rid of Karn. So, going to bring Reassembling Skeleton back onto the battlefield, and we'll draw into that Angrass Rampage, and we'll see what they end up bringing back out of the graveyard with Meren. Okay, now we're officially getting to the value part of a Meren deck. Let's go for Angrass Rampage. Target player sacrifices a Planeswalker. Okay, that's going to get rid of Karn, and then we're going to pass the turn to our opponent. So we are stuck on a Braid. We're also at a point now, if we end up going for a Braid on one of these creatures, it's basically going to do our opponent a favor by getting either an extra land drop or simply just bringing back Reassembling Skeleton. So I'm just going to let them play this turn out, and we'll see what we can do about it. Ooh, Okay, opponent's gonna go for Genesis Wave for 15. So let's go ahead and let this let's get this pop down, see what we're staring at. And I think so. We've got Gurk Wildspeaker coming down, Mana Reflection, which is not really what we want to see, especially with the Wildspeaker, Ruinous Path, Null Profusion. Skip whenever you play a card, draw a card. Your maximum hand size is 2. Beast Within, and then Pongify. So that's going to put Null and put Mana Reflection and Gurk Wildspeaker. So at this point right now, if you're keeping score at home, I would highly recommend that you check the It's Not Looking Good box. And we'll see what sort of shenanigans they want to go for with Gurk Wildspeaker. All right, so we draw into Wasteland a little bit too late for Wasteland on that guy's Cradle. So last turn, our opponent went for Genesis Wave for 15. They got a lot of stuff on the battlefield. While I was letting them do stuff, we could have technically abradied on Skull Clamp. But to be perfectly honest, at this point in the game, our opponent's got a pretty firm lock on this one. So we're going to go and scoop this one up. Then, unfortunately, if you don't hit some lands sometimes and you're playing a kind of a... I guess I'd get like a tier B deck, whatever you want to call it, something that's efficient, but it's just not that strong. Sometimes it's going to happen. So good game to our opponent, didn't see Spore Frog from old Meren over there, but you got to see a ton of Golgari value, and you can see where something like Zendikar Resurgence, being able to double your mana production is such a good thing. So anyways, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.